It's Michelle Nesky, the Posh PA, and today I'm going to talk about the not so fun part of being a PA, and that is more of the administrative tasks that sometimes we're required to do depending on your practice setting. But I think it's an important topic to talk about because outside of our clinical duties, there are administrative tasks that need to be completed. So let's talk a little bit about what those look like. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. You know I'm here every week dropping tips and tricks to help you on your journey to PA school and well beyond into practice. Okay, so let's talk about some of the administrative duties that PAs can have. This is going to vary pretty significantly depending on your practice setting and the way that your group works. So take into consideration that you may be asked to do some of these tasks, but not all of these tasks in your practice. So the first thing that we all have to do as clinicians is documentation. It can be the bane of our existence, but we have to document what we saw and did for the patient every day. And that includes charting our notes in an electronic medical record system. Pretty much everywhere has changed over to an electronic medical record system at this point. So really it's about learning that medical record system and being able to accurately document your progress notes, your new patient notes, and all of that into the chart. Some programs use dictation systems, others type. In my office, some people dictate. I like to type because I'm fast at that. So it really just depends on what you're more efficient at doing. That really will determine how you decide to chart. Now, yes, we have to chart on every single person that we saw. And sometimes we have to chart on people that we spoke to over the phone, right? If you're prescribing something to somebody over the phone after their appointment, you definitely want to document that that's happened, okay? So documentation is a really big part of the administrative responsibilities of a PA because we have to make sure that we're ensuring continuity and continuation of care for the patient with accurate documentation in the medical record. So that may include also emails from patients through the electronic medical record system, never through your personal email, okay? So answering those inbox messages, patient phone calls, consulting with other specialties as needed, placing orders, for patients, whether that's medication orders, whether that's referrals to other physicians, really filling out that information that they need to ensure that continuity of care, asking for consults for different patients for different reasons. Those are all part of the administrative and day-to-day tasks of PAs that's outside of your, one-on-one interactions with patients. There are also some things that we need to do, like refill medications, approve medication refills, okay? Make sure that we're educating patients on the medications that they're taking, and so that they have a good idea of what the prescription is, what it is for, and how they're gonna fill it, and then making sure we document that in the medical record. Fielding calls, from patients who have left the office or left the hospital and just being able to answer their questions. Those are more administrative tasks, really sitting down and being able to answer those phone calls and answer those advice requests is a part of our duties also. Sometimes we are asked to deal with insurance companies. So a lot of times here in the United States, we have insurance providers that have to approve certain tests that we order. And sometimes they don't approve them. And we need to get on the phone with the insurance companies and do what they call a peer-to-peer authorization. And that can take up a lot of time because you have to wait on hold and you have to get to the right person and you need to speak to a medical director and really make your case of why you're ordering this test for this person. Okay, so that can also be a responsibility along with paperwork such as FMLA or prior authorizations. But in my practice currently, we have it's set up that we do not do prior authorizations, but in others, PAs do help with prior authorizations for medications and for imaging studies, okay? So it really depends on your practice environment, how much of that you might be asked to do, all right? What you don't want as a PA is to be spending more of your time on administrative work than you are in your clinical practice. If that is happening, you are out of balance, okay? And need to talk to your team, your practice, your administration, and really kind of tell them, hey, I'm spending this much time doing administrative work. I need some administrative time, and or maybe this isn't the right use of my time or my skills. And so, yes, there are some things that come with the territory, like documentation and phone calls and patient advice and all of that. But sometimes these other things like refills or prior auths or peer-to-peers can really, get frustrating, for PAs in their practice. And so we really try to minimize that as much as possible so we can have more of that balance between our clinical responsibilities and our administrative responsibilities. Now, remember, we're also ordering tests. We need to follow up on those results. We need to notify people of their results. And a large part of my job, particularly in oncology, is medical education. So you want to be teaching people about the drugs that they're going to get. And so there's documentation involved in that as well. To me, I love that part of my job. I love teaching, patients what medicines they're going to get, how they might react, what to expect, all of those things. But it does take a lot of time. But it is patient facing. So it's not really a lot of administrative work. But once you leave the room, there is administrative documentation to be done on the back end. Now, are there professions that have less or more administrative responsibilities? In healthcare, I'm going to say probably not, okay? Every single role in healthcare has an administrative responsibility because we have to do documentation, we have to do billing, we have to be responsible for the paper, I guess, continuity of care of patients. Okay, so there's always going to be some administrative tasks associated with a clinical practice. That's just the way it is. In certain practices, you may also have research and clinical trials and things like that, in which case there's a lot more paperwork, but typically there is a research team that's designated to do that. And we need to be signing off on certain things. So those are just kind of some of the administrative responsibilities you can be asked to do, you might be asked to do. Billing is a whole separate video. If you want me to talk about billing, as a PA, I could certainly do that. Drop it in the comments and I can talk to you about billing and RVU and productivity. I was a manager for a while, so I have an idea of what all of that is like. So if you wanted a video on that, I could do that too. But here I just wanted to give you sort of a general overview of what some of the administrative tasks are for PAs. So I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time.